The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gam Podcast Network is brought to you by Arctic Fantasy. The recommended new customers play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code NBA SGPN. And welcome everyone to the McGam Podcast here on the Sports Gam Podcast Network. It is currently Tuesday afternoon, October 14th, around 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Reichel, joined again by Lonte, and together we're going to break down the win totals for the Western Conference. Terrell and I did the Eastern Conference yesterday, doing the Western Conference today. Lonte, how's it going with you? What's up? Lonte there? I think Lonte's having some technical issues at the moment. I know his camera wasn't working before. I don't know if his audio is now giving him problems, but either way, we are here to break down the Western Conference. Lonte, you good now?
Yeah. I think, audio-wise, I'm
What's
good.
up?
I don't know about the yeah, nothing much, man. Long time no talk, especially about the NBA. But yeah, man, it's good to have it back. We're probably about 10 days away? Or no, less than that. A week away.
About a week away.
Yeah. So
season does start on the 21st. So
yep.
Yeah, we have the final win total episode now. Then we have a couple of award shows we're going to end up doing for all the different player awards, and then we'll get into the actual, I'd say, future predictions involving divisions, involving our title picks, and then we'll move on into the game breakdowns next Tuesday. Either way, though, before we get into any of the actual win totals for the Western Conference teams, a reminder, the NHL is back. So is the Hockey Yelling Podcast. Join Ryan and Joel as they break down the biggest games, storylines, awards, and best bets throughout the season. Let it slide. So, starting off with the first division, we're going to do this by division, same exact format as the last episode. Southwest. So we're going to go in order of the lowest win total to the highest win total in each division. So for the first team projected to finish in last place, you have the Pelicans, who have a win total of 30.5. They won 21 games last year. By comparison, you're looking at, let me actually just confirm that, because I don't know if that's actually correct. I think they won more than that. But let me just check if that was accurate. The Pelicans last year ended up winning. They won 21 games last year. I had to double check that to make sure they were that bad, but they were. So New Orleans, their projected starting lineup, you got Jordan Poole, because they ended up trading away McCollum in order to get him. They have Fears, the rookie, who should be pretty good, but we'll see if he can immediately contribute in the NBA or not. You have Herb Jones, Zion, who's healthy for now, and Derek Queen, who they, of course, traded up the draft in the first round out of Maryland. Alvarado, Hawkins, Murphy, Looney, and Missy are still there for the bench. You might end up seeing Trey Murphy start. We'll see how that goes, but either way, point is that is their, I'd say, main 10 guys in the projected lineup. We know DeJounte Murray, of course, is injured and will not be available. So, Lonte, I'll ask you. They won 21 games last year. We don't know how many games Zion's going to play, which is always the main question mark with this team. But for starters, do you think they are going to finish in dead last in this division?
You know what? I think they might be a little bit feistier than what some people think. I know Zion, obviously, the health is the biggest concern, but I think roster-wise, they did a good job of putting pieces together that fit whenever Zion's not on the floor. Now, obviously, things are, I guess, the roles are diminished a little bit whenever he's on the floor because they don't have to do as much. But I think the pieces work well together. If he's going to miss, I think we kind of pencil him in for missing at least 20 games, 20 to 25 games.
Yeah, for the record, Zion missed 52 games last season.
Yeah, so, he's saying, everybody's in the best shape of their life right now, but we know how that goes. But I like some of the pieces that were around them. I love Fears. I'm a big Jeremiah Fears fan. I like Queen. I don't know if I like him here in this specific system, in this specific lineup, but I love Trey Murphy. I think he's a good most improved player candidate for this year, not to spoil anything. But, yeah, I think the Pelicans are live to make some noise and be a fringe playoff team. A play-in team, to be honest with you.
Well, looking at the actual win total of 30.5, I'm not going to go that far. I don't think this team is very good, but I will point out they had a bunch of guys who missed a bunch of games last year. Zion ended up missing 52. Brandon Ingram was on the team anymore, ended up playing 18, so he missed 60 and change. Trey Murphy also ended up missing 31. McCollum, who got traded, ended up missing 26. And DeJounte ended up missing 51. So a lot of their main guys ended up just not playing throughout the course of the season. And Zion, we know, can probably miss a decent amount of games. The thing about Jordan Poole, though, even if you don't like his game, at least he plays. So I do like the availability for him.
and scores.
Yeah, he can also score. I think him and McCollum's might be a little bit better of a well-rounded player, but I do think they bring similar skill sets to the table. And I think Trey Murphy's good, but he also missed a bunch of games. So I actually don't mind the over with you. I'm not going to go full-on play-in contention. I don't think they'll be that good. But I do think Zion will end up playing more than 30 games this season. And I do think that Trey Murphy can end up playing in the 60s or 70s. And I think Poole can play a decent amount of games. So it's a very low win total. I get the West is difficult. The problem for New Orleans is the Derek Queen trade was so bad, they can't even tank because they don't own their own draft pick anymore. They gave it away to Atlanta to move up to trade for Queen. So it's kind of similar to what I said last year about, and it's not really the exact same comp because the Atlanta Hawks were actually a play-in team last year, but I picked their over solely because they could not tank. There was no incentive to tank because they don't own their own pick. So New Orleans has no actual reason to stop trying to punt the second half for a top 3 pick. They don't have their own draft pick. So based on the lack of reason for tanking, I think they can win games in the second half against teams that are trying to get themselves into the actual top 3. I got the over. I meant top 3 draft picks, of course. I got the over for their wins. I'm not as high on them as you are, but there is no incentive to tank, so I'll take the over.
All right. Yep.
So
completely agree. I love the way you added that in.
So that's where I'm at. I don't like this team in general, but with no incentive to lose games, and they're going to have to try in the second half to finish with 35. That's kind of where I'm at. I'll go with the over on New Orleans for my first win total. Moving on to the next team, you have Memphis, who won 48 of the 82 games last year. They were finishing with a winning record. Now they have to basically do the same thing, as their win total is at 39.5. Now, for the Grizzlies, we know the main story, like New Orleans, will Ja actually be healthy? We don't know. Starting lineup, though, they have John Morant. They have Caldwell Pope because they traded away Bane to Orlando for Caldwell Pope, who may or may not be washed. We don't know yet. Jalen Wells, who is a good young player. Aldama, who they brought back. And they have Jock Landale right now as their listed starting center. Jaren Jackson currently injured. I said before, Bane ended up leaving. Brandon Clark is always injured, so not really a shock there. But for the Jaren Jackson injury update, Jackson is recently ramping up activities, so he might end up missing some time. Not a lot, but either way, there's a chance for him to be ready opening night. I'm assuming he won't be, but he's really not going to miss much time, so expect Jaren Jackson to be available, probably worst-case scenario, after the first week of the regular season. 39.5. I know Bane's a solid player. I know that Ja's guaranteed to miss basically 20 games a season. But does this win total seem low to you? Do you think this team should end up finishing with a 500 record minimum?
Yeah, 500 record is a good way to put it. I think the win total is actually spot on because of similar to what we talked about with New Orleans. I mean, the injury concerns, especially to their 2 top guys, and Jaren's dealing with one right now. And they don't really have any backup rim protection or any backup bigs that are volatile. I know they got rid of Jay Huff, who I thought played well.
I like Huff.
Now, obviously, I like Huff as well. It was a tale of 2 halves for Memphis, and they just couldn't beat good. They handled business against the subpar teams. They lost a couple of they lost more than a couple of close games on game winners or somewhat weird spots. But again, a lot of turmoil in the lineup. I believe they did upgrade the roster a little bit, except for just on the front line. I would love for them to get a better rim protection. And then Edey's dealing with some injuries as well.
Yeah,
they ran a lot more high pick and roll. You saw Edey's numbers do a lot better under Isalov's tutelage. So I think the number is spot on, to be honest with you. And I'm usually a Memphis guy. I mean, they perform really, really well at home. So, I mean, just winning, they can probably win close to 35 games in that building right there. So I would go over at 2, but I do think that this number is spot on.
Yeah, so Edey, by the way, has been cleared for basketball activities. He's still going to be out for about, I'd say, 2 months, give or take. So he should be coming back sometime in potentially November, December. Clark just had a surgery on his knee, so he's going to be out for a couple months as well. So they're going to be a bit short-handed front court-wise in the immediate future, which is why Jaren Jackson's health and return is very important for this team. Now, Ja ended up missing 32 games last season. Feels like what we're usually expecting from Ja. We know Bane played a very key role for this team, and now he's not available. I like, because he's not on the team anymore. I think the roster depth is okay, but they have a lot of injuries already. I don't trust Josh staying healthy. And I also don't know if the current guy can actually coach, because we saw him in a limited sample last year, and it was not pretty. Now, they were able to make it out of the play-in, and they ended up getting killed by OKC. Ja got hurt. They almost won a game anyway, and they really had a massive choke job in that last game. But you played the inevitable champions, got swept, so it happens. But either way, I'll go under on this team. I have too many injury questions for them already with the front court, with Edey being out. Clark's always hurt, but still, solid bench player. And we know that Ja's pretty much guaranteed to miss 20, 30 games every season. I'll go under on Memphis. I get your points, but I don't know if this current guy can coach. If they had Taylor Jenkins, I would probably take the over, because I know what I'm getting from him, just getting a solid effort night in, night out. This team couldn't guard anybody with their new head coach. So I don't trust the defense. I don't trust the health. I'll go under on Memphis. Think if Ja gets hurt again, they are screwed, because Bane's not even there to carry the load. So based on that, if Ja gets hurt, what is their backcourt? It's not pretty.
And they already don't have a front court. Yeah, I agree.
They got Ty Jerome and Scottie Pippen Jr., who can fill in some spots, but I don't know if Caldwell Pope has much left in the tank, and he's getting paid $20+ million a year. Not really sold on that, so I'll go under on Memphis. I think they'll finish somewhere in the 35 range if I had to go for a prediction. So a bit of a disagreement there, which is fine. It adds to the content. Moving on to the next team, the Mavericks. And of course, they had the number 1 pick in the draft, as they ended up getting Cooper Flagg, who might be the starting small forward. We'll see where he ends up starting position-wise. But they have D'Angelo Russell, they have Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively as their starting lineup. Off the bench, still have Gafford, still have Washington, still have Marshall. They have Caleb Martin as well, who, of course, was infamously involved in the Grimes trade before Grimes became an absolute madman. But either way, they have Caleb Martin, and they also have Hardy still off the bench with Christie, with Powell, and with Exum. So basically the same team as last year, with the exception of D'Lo, and, of course, Cooper Flagg. So for the win total, they're at 40.5. Now, of course, the question, like most teams in this division, the actual health of their players. Kyrie, of course, is still out, and is probably going to miss the entire season. So without really a solid backcourt with Kyrie's injury, they brought in D'Lo. You know my thoughts on D'Lo. I'm not sold on him, but he can be a decent fill-in kind of flamethrower. But there are some really bad nights in store for D'Lo, just based on his usual streakiness. 40.5. Any thoughts? Because last year, Anthony Davis ended up missing a decent amount of games. He ended up playing 9 games with Dallas, got hurt in his first game with the team, played 51 games last year, including his time with LA. What are your thoughts, first of all, on the AD Flagg partnership? Do you think this works out?
Yeah, I mean, I love this team. To be honest, I absolutely love them. We know who he is. I think that's kind of the good thing about it, is you kind of know what you're getting with him. And now that he's in a system with a lot of moving pieces, I think he can be more off ball, which is what he's good at, kind of a secondary playmaker. Now, if you listen to Jason Kidd, Cooper Flagg is going to start at point guard, which is something that I would not do. But I mean, whatever. That's what he get paid. That's what Jason Kidd gets paid to do. But huge front line, man. They got one of the deepest front lines in the NBA. I mean, you go from, if you count Flagg as obviously a forward, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington. Like, you got guys up front to withstand some injury concerns that you have. Obviously, we have with AD, and we know Lively has had his share of injuries as well. But the guard play is what I'm worried about until Kyrie kind of gets back and it's probably going to take him, like a month or two when he does get back to kind of get back to being.
By the way, sorry, I misspoke. I said he was out for the season. He's out for 2025. He's expected to come back in 2026. So potentially January is his expected return time. So apologies there. He's going to be out for the first half of the season.
Yeah, and I think he probably won't be back to himself until late February, maybe going into the playoffs. So it's all prevalent upon how the backcourt goes. But I think the front court has some pieces. Dante Exum played well last year. They did pick up Dennis Smith, who's really good on the defensive end. I like that. I like Najee Marshall. We know what Klay is at this point. He's kind of just a spot-up shooter who's talked about his defense being not back to where it was, but being a little bit better than what it was last year. So they got depth, and I do like that. I like Max Christie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So they got depth. It's just kind of unproven. Now, if the pieces can fit together, obviously we know the schedule of the Western Conference is a little bit more vigorous than Eastern Conference. But the one thing I do like is we're getting a full offseason with Anthony Davis. So we're getting a full offseason with Anthony Davis. He's probably going to play a little bit more 4 now with Lively and Gafford, if you want to mix in that lineup, and then probably play, during the bigger lineups when they have – Jason Kidd was talking about putting like Flag, AD, Lively, who else was it? I think Powell or PJ and like super big lineup, like with Gafford as well. So they're going to play super big, be real physical, similar to what we probably going to talk about with Houston. But yeah, I like over, man. I like this Dallas team. I'm really bullish on them. They fought hard down the stretch last year, despite some of the injury concerns. So I'm going over, man. I love this Dallas team.
Yeah, I'm with you on the over. I think this line is a bit low. They're in must-win now territory, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. AD's durability is always the question mark, but they do have a lot of centers in general to maybe help spell some minutes for AD if needed. I'm curious how Flag's going to look in his rookie season. I think he'll look fine. The backcourt until Kyrie comes back could be a problem, but either way, I think D'Lo can do enough as a fill-in to not be totally atrocious. I like the bench, though, as you said. I like the depth. I'll go with the over at 40.5. This team, with Kyrie coming back from injury and AD, of course, with his injury history, they can't afford to be a play-in team. So I expect them to do whatever they can to avoid the play-in, which should involve them pushing for a pretty decent regular season record. I'll go for the over, maybe not by a lot, but I see them finishing around 43 or 44. Moving on to the next team, you have the Spurs, who are now at 44.5. They won 34 games last year. For their actual, of course, depth chart, we know Wemby ended up having a blood clot issue last season, and he ended up missing some time. He's back, so keep that in mind. Traveling over the world, doing random Wemby adventures, and now we'll see how he looks in what could be his, I don't want to say breakout season, but a season where he could actually play significant minutes in terms of either minute restrictions and not being there, or in terms of actually having a team that's good enough to reach playoff contention. You still have De'Aaron Fox. They gave him a massive contract. You have Castle, you have Vassell, Barnes, and Wemby. They ended up drafting Dylan Harper. They have Carter Bryant as well. Young, raw, very good defensively. We'll see if he ends up playing minutes or not. They have Keldon Johnson. They have Sochan. They also have Olynyk to wrap up the bench. And they ended up signing Cornette as a backup center there. So I'm going to ask you, because they won 34 games last year, I don't know how good San Antonio is actually going to be. Because Fox and Wemby did not play many games together last season because Wemby went down with the blood clot issue. I haven't seen Wemby play a full season yet in terms of health. That's also a concern there. Fox always seems to hurt his hand. I'm sure you've noticed that too. Because I question Fox's durability as well at times.
Yeah.
I like the under on this team. I get San Antonio's got expectations now, and I get that Fox and Wemby can be good together. It just feels a little too much too quickly with this team. 44.5 decent amount of wins in the Western Conference, and I think it's a few too many. I'm a bit lower on the Spurs. I'm not buying into the full hype until I see something first. The roster's not bad, but I think 44.5 is a decent amount of wins. I'll go with the under. Then they finish somewhere in the low 40s.
Yeah, 42 wins is probably like what I have them at, like 41, 42 wins if everything goes right. Obviously, the expectations are off the charts whenever Wemby's on the floor. Glad he's doing better from the blood clot issue. I know that's a really big – it's been a thing for NBA players with blood clot issues. I know Dame Lillard had one as well. So, thankfully those guys are good.
I think Asar Thompson had one a couple years ago.
Oh, wow, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what it is with NBA players and blood clots, but, thankfully they're good. It's just so I don't really know how they score outside of, like, Wemby and Fox. I mean, I know Castle gets his baskets, like, off. Like, you don't need to run plays for him. Devin Vassell is probably after Fox, is probably the best on-ball, like, scorer?
Yeah.
Question mark?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, no, I think that's fair. I mean, Castle, I think, is an okay overall player. The shooting efficiency could be better for him, so it's probably Vassell if we're talking about scoring.
He doesn't create a ton. Like, he's gonna get his points off of everybody else. Like, filling the lanes. He's got better with like, self creation, but he's just not quite there yet. And obviously, the young core with Dylan and Carter are what they are. I think Dylan is in a good spot to play some of the two guard lineups with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has played with other guards, so he's accustomed to being on and off ball and knowing when to like get on and get off the ball. So I don't think that is that big a deal as people are making it. I don't know how much Carter Bryant plays, to be quite honest. I mean, he's just so raw off, good defender, but I just don't know if you could put him on a court to play offense, and you're already going to be pretty much offensively challenged putting, like 2 non-shooters on the floor with Castle, him. Barnes is okay at times if you're going to play them together, but and De'Aaron Fox is a decent shooter, but I don't know if they have enough shooting, to be honest. I mean, I like Luke Cornett being on the inside, which kind of moves Wemby to the 4, and he doesn't have to, bang down low with some of those bigger guys that are going to play against. So I do like that. I like Olynyk coming in, being like a versatile stretch 4 as well. So they got some pieces that I like. It's just that I don't know if I can trust the scoring long term. But I do find the team interesting, but I think like 41, 42 wins is probably the ceiling, because if Wemby goes down for, I mean, we could say this about any team, but
they're screwed if Wemby gets hurt. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, if he has to miss 20, 25 games, I mean, you're looking at probably like a 35, 36 win team.
Yeah. I mean, in the West, if he misses 25 games, they're going, 7-18? Like, they're probably going to be terrible, like, if he misses time.
Yeah.
So that's a concern there. You mentioned the lack of shooting. I'll be a bit more specific. I don't think they have enough spot-up shooting. They have Champagny, who's buried on the depth chart, who might play some minutes. But you're going down the line. Keldon Johnson can shoot, I guess, but I think he wants the ball in his hands. Vassell wants the ball in his hands too. They have a lot of guys who want to be the primary ball handler. So I question the actual off-ball ability of their players. Barnes, we know, can be a spot-up guy, can be underwhelming at times as well. I don't really like the spacing on this team.
Yeah, right.
Wemby might have an explosion season. Like, if Wemby ends up having a 25, 27 point per game season, they're going to go over. But that's a massive jump for Wemby. I'll go with the under with you. I see them being around 500.
Yeah.
So that's what I got for the Spurs. Moving on, though, to the last team in the division, the favorites to win the division. You have the Rockets now with KD. Their win totals at 53.5. They won 52 games last year. They ended up having a pretty serious injury right before the start of the season, as Van Vliet, who restructured his contract, so I'll be nicer to him now, is now going to be out for the season. So that's a big deal for veteran leadership purposes and for actual guard depth purposes. But for the actual roster, they have Aaron Holiday now, potentially Reed Shepherd as a starting point guard. Amen, you have KD, you have Jabari, and you have Şengün. You have Capella now, who's now back on the Rockets. You have Eason, you have Tate, Okogie, and Shepherd once again. They have Steven Adams there, Jeff Green for veteran leadership, etc. Basically it, but Van Vliet is out for the season. They have Finney Smith as well, who is injured, not out for the season, so back at some point. I'll ask you, because we know they won 52 last year. We know that getting KD makes the offense much better, which was the main problem for this team. However, Amen might play point guard. Is that a fair assumption with the Van Vliet injury? Is he the new point guard, basically?
I mean, de facto, yeah. I don't know how much
I didn't say it would work, but
yeah.
I'm just saying Amen might be the de facto point guard on this team. So
yeah.
You like the over or the under?
I love the under. Love it. It's one of my favorite win total bets of the year. I mean, Van Vliet, I was already skeptical with Van Vliet kind of shouldering the load at guard and not having a ton of guard depth. So you're gonna have to rely on a lot of Reed Shepherd, I'm assuming, and I'm not sure that he's ready to shoulder that kind of load for the expectations that the Houston Rockets have with gaining KD. Their front line is awesome. They got one of the best front lines with KD, Jabari, Şengün, Capella, Adams, like Eason. Like, they have an amazing front line, but the backcourt is shaky. And I mean, like, I'm looking at, if you're looking at this type of win total, I'm looking to match them up against teams of the elite status that we haven't got to yet. So I'm looking at the OKCs, I'm looking at the Denvers. Like, they will get 8 alive guard wise with those two teams because OKC obviously has an elite guard. Murray's borderline elite, but again, another one. And then, I mean, the Lakers on an elite team, but likely a decent contender. You're going to be having to go against Luka. Like, it's only so much you can do with that interior. KD can only take you but so far. And if I was like in a Houston Rocket front office, I would kind of look to load manage KD a little bit early on, so because, I mean, the injuries that he's been sustaining have been, like, it's been mild, but again, he's older, so they're taking a lot more time off, and they need him. Like if they're gonna need him. He can't miss 20 games. I mean, this roster is not set up for him to miss 20 games. Um, I love the under. I think it'll be a great team in the playoffs when things slow down and maybe they get a guard. I don't know if they're going to try to go get Russell Westbrook, just to kind of be a veteran presence table setter. But right now, you're telling me that you're going into a season with Aaron Holiday, Amen Thompson, who I love, Reed Shepard, who I love, Josh Okogie as your backcourt.
Yeah,
that's not a 50-win team. That's not a 50-win team.
Yeah, I'm on the
not in the
I'm
West.
on the under as well. I do want to point out though, since I did not mention which players they got rid of in the KD trade, they no longer have Jalen Green, no longer have Dillon Brooks. I do want to point out, by the way, that Şengün was the only player on the active roster who played in 70-plus games last season. Jalen Green, even if we gave him some crap for the playoffs, deservedly so, he played every game last season, played all 82 games. Dillon Brooks played 75. So we have seen injuries play a factor for this team. Amen played 69. Van Vliet, who's out for the season, ended up playing 60. They've had injuries. Jabari also missed 20-plus games. Now you're looking at KD, who has played more than 63 games one time since the 2018-2019 season. So he's guaranteed to miss 20 in every single game, in every single season. So I'm on the under for the Rockets. Yep. We also know that this team is guard thin. And as you said before, KD, with him missing some games, I don't know if they're equipped enough to actually handle him missing time. Yeah. And I think he'll miss some time.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would want him to miss time. Like, not injury related, but I would want him to kind of, ease into and be playing his best going down the stretch. So early on in some of these games, like I would, say, hey, look, we're going to take a couple weeks off here and there. Like, especially during a tough stretch, we know they go on a trip where they're probably going to play, 5 games in 7 days or type of thing. So yeah, I would kind of rest him a little bit more just so he's fresher down the stretch. I mean, who knows? It's an NBA season. We're going to probably be hit with some wild trades, but they got to get some guards, man. I mean, more than one, to be honest, because right now, I mean, have you seen Amen Thompson dribble a basketball?
I mean, I think Amen could be I'd say a functioning guard, but I wouldn't want to rely on him as my main ball handler over the course of the season.
I don't want him handling the ball.
So
I'm
hoping you worked on it a bit, but either
maybe,
way, I think that this team is going to be coasting and then they'll get into the playoffs, as you said. So I got them finishing with like 46, 47, which might be enough to win the division anyway. But I do think this number is a bit high. So I'll go with the under 47 on the Rockets. All right, before we get into the next division, a reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is my book at ADG. You can bet on football, college football, the NBA. You can use them for NHL as well. They have a prop builder second to none. Motto simple. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime. Use crypto for deposits and payouts. And sign up for a new account. Use code SGPN for a special 100% bet back bonus $500 from customers. Book with ADG promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig, which is a very solid prediction market for sports. America's #1 prediction market for sports. You can get some great prices using Novig. Available in 35 states. Download the Novig app. Get $50 and spend just $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. Get on the extra Novig. Promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the first division for the Western Conference. Time to move on into the Pacific, which could be the most competitive one because we have 3 teams separated by 1 game or 2 games for their win totals. So pretty unpredictable division. Starting off, though, with the team expected to finish last, a team that has really imploded in record time. Matt Ishbia happened, and now the Suns are irrelevant. Their win total's at 31.5. They won 36 games last year. Segueing from the Rockets, the Suns, of course, were the team that traded away Durant after that experiment failed miserably. So for their actual roster, Devin Booker is still there. So he's still wasting his career in Phoenix. But either way, he's still going to be the headliner for this team. But for the rest of the roster, it's not very good. They got Jalen Green, who I said before played a bunch of games. So did Dillon Brooks. So at least they're going to be healthy based on expectation. But you have Devin Booker at point guard. We'll see how that goes. Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, Ryan Dunn, and Mark Williams. They have Gillespie, Grayson Allen, Nigel Hayes, who is very good in Euro basketball. Shout out to Wisconsin. Royce O'Neal, and they got Malawak from Duke. They also have Nick Richards. They have a couple of other guys who got some minutes last year, but that's basically it. So I'll ask you for Phoenix. Is this team going to be good? No. 31.5 wins. Do you think that's a fair number, too high or too low?
I think it's fair. I think that we always try to find teams that are under the radar as far as covering numbers. And I think this team could be one of those teams that we look up and they're really good ATS. I like their front line as well. I like their backcourt. I mean, I think the Devin Booker, Jalen Green thing can work in spurts. I think they'll be really, really fun offensively, good or bad, but they'll be entertaining, I guess is the right word. The shooting is something that I'm worried about as well. They got a really good shooter that I think they drafted. I'm not sure if they drafted him or if they signed him, but Kobe Brea, one of the best shooters in the country last year. I'm not a big Malawatch guy, so yeah, I mean, I think him and Mark Williams I think Mark Williams is the better version of him, and I'm just not a Malawatch guy. So interesting dynamic there. They're going to be really good defensively. I think they got some rim protection. They got good on ball defenders. I think Oso Iguodala will take a big step. Obviously, Ryan Dunn defensively. Rasheer Fleming is a guy that I expect to, as a rookie, be really good on both ends because he's got good length, good size. He can shoot it. He's a good he's a good catch and shoot guy. Could get some good looks off of Booker and Green. I mean, Brooks on the defensive side. So yeah, I think they'll be feisty. But again, I don't think they'll be good covering numbers for us on a daily basis. You know, we'll get those times where they're going up against some team, maybe Cleveland or New York, and they're catching like 13, and I'll definitely be holding my nose back in them. But I think they'll be fun to watch. I don't think they'll win a ton of games, but this win total I think is perfectly set for them.
You also have to mention they have a new coach, Jordan Knott, who was one of the head assistants over there in Cleveland last year.
Players love him.
Yeah, players love him. First head coaching job, though. So we'll see if there's a work in progress there, or if he's able to hit the ground running, which can always be a slippery slope. I think I'm going to go on. See, the thing about Phoenix, though, is they technically don't own the first round pick. They're probably going to get it, but technically the Wizards have access to a swap. So if the Suns are totally terrible, they don't have their own pick. So there is really no incentive to tank for this team, which can make an argument for the over because there's no incentive to be bad. Having said that, I don't think this team's good. So I'm kind of just stuck here. It's why Ishbia, I roast all the time. He destroyed the entire franchise. I'm going to go with the under on Phoenix. I just said a second ago there is no incentive to tank. But I don't think this team's very good. And the fact is you have Jalen Green, who's never been a great passer of the basketball. Dylan Brooks, who we know is more of a 3-and-D guy. So I don't see him being that big of a ball handler. Do you like the ball handlers on this team? Because Devin Booker can access in a point guard role. He had 7.1 assists per game last season. He also ended up missing 7 games, but now he has an extra offensive load with him. And we know Devin Booker in games without Durant last season scored a bunch of points, and they lost a bunch of games. Kind of the story of Booker's entire career as a scorer, where he would drop 50 back in the day, and they'd lose every game he dropped 50 in. So shout out to the 70-point game that he ended up having against the Celtics, which they lost by like 20 back in the day. I'm on the under. The West is too good. DJ and Dan's mentioned in the comment section. The West is too loaded. I don't see them winning 32, whether they have their own draft pick or not. I got the under. I see them finishing around 25, 26.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I'm on the under for them. Moving on to the next team. Speaking of franchises that have imploded, Sacramento Kings. They're 35.5 wins. They won 40 games last year, fired Mike Brown midseason, ended up promoting Doug Christie. I think we'd agree Christie with the Kings was fine. Yeah. Still a weird overall depth chart for this team. But the roster was flawed. Thought Christie was okay. They got Dennis Schroeder, Eurobasket MVP. Dennis Schroeder, put some respect on his name. You got Zach LaVine. You have Malik Monk, you have DeRozan, and you have Sabonis. Keon Ellis, they got Clifford from Colorado State, who I like as a player. They got Saric, who is still in the league. You forgot he was still in the league, but there he is. You have Drew Eubanks, Devin Carter, who's been injured for a very large portion of his young career. We'll see if he can do anything. And Doug McBuckets. Keegan Murray's currently injured, but to be honest, I don't know if it actually matters that much. I'm not a big Keegan Murray guy.
How long is he out?
So Keegan Murray, for the updated injury news for him, Keegan Murray is going to be out about 4 to 6 weeks. So he ended up tearing a knee ligament. He'll be out for probably a month and a half. So there you go. I don't think he's a big needle mover, but it helps because he can actually space the floor. So they have Schroeder, who is new, but he's their starting point guard. Could you imagine if they had a good point guard like De'Aaron Fox or Tyrese Halliburton on this roster? Can you imagine that? But yeah, they got Schroeder as their point guard. They have the Bulls from 2 years ago with Levine and DeRozan. And that's basically it, along with Sabonis, who you don't actually know how good he is because the stats are good, but that's kind of it, and he's the worst defensive center in the league. So what are your thoughts? I like the under because I don't think this team's going to be any good. But they could be a feisty play-in contention team that goes slightly under. Yeah. I'll say under, though. I think a year older Levine and DeRozan I'm not interested in. And Sabonis, this team defensively is going to be atrocious. Yeah. So I'm on the under in the West. I got them winning like 31.
Yeah, so two things. I think the first thing, I think they could be feisty. I think they actually could be really feisty because of what they have as far as scoring punch, but they won't be able to defend anybody. They don't have any rim protection at all. I mean, you're looking at Sabonis, Eubanks, Saric, like no rim protection at all. No on-ball defense. I do love their rookie class. I love Maxime Renaud. I love Nick Clifford, who I think will probably take over that guard spot. And I think it could go one or two ways. So I think they can get off to a really decent start, and they got some hope, and they end up going being like 500, or they just like bottom out, and Zach LaVine, Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, and Sabonis are all traded at the trade deadline.
Well, for the record, LaVine's making $47 million a year, so I don't actually know if he can be moved. DeRozan makes sense. Sabonis is making $42 million this year. It's some expensive contracts.
Yeah,
so
with
the apron system, though, I don't actually know if they can trade those guys, but they're going to try to.
Yeah, probably can get creative with it, but yeah, either way, I think the top four guys, two of them will be gone. Malik Monk is probably the first guy that will be gone because I like the young talent. I like Devin Carter. I mean, when he's healthy, he's solid. Like I said, I love Maxime Renaud. I think Nick Clifford is a sneaky Rookie of the Year candidate who won't start off right away because of the backcourt that they have with LaVine, DeRozan, and Schroeder. But if he can slide in and play some minutes, he's versatile. He can play the one or the two. I like his versatility. He stuffed the stat sheet on a bad team, so he's going to get his numbers. If they can move off of two of those guys, I think he can be sneaky good. This is another team that I think can cover a lot of numbers. I think they'll be matchup nightmare. They're going to score, so their back door is going to be open a lot. But do I trust them to get over this number? No. So I would go under on the Kings.
I'm going to push back on the scoring a bit. They have a couple of very good isolation scores with LaVine, Monk, and DeRozan, etc. Do they have any outside shooting on this entire team? Besides the random Keon Ellis, 6 3-pointer game off the bench, Schroeder's not an amazing shooter anyway. LaVine, we know, can be a solid shooter, but at the same point, we know he's going to shoot his team out of a ton of possessions because
he's got better.
I know, but he's also kind of a chucker. We know Monk's a good shooter, but at the same point, he might get traded. DeRozan's never been a great 3-point shooter, and Sabonis is okay percentage-wise, but he attempts 1 or 2 per game. On the bench, they don't have many great shooters either, so I don't like the spacing on this team. I think the spacing makes sense if they're back in 2010. But they're in 2025. I don't think this team spacing-wise is going to work out because they don't have enough outside shooting. So I think they got problems on both ends. Defensively, we're going to guarantee this is a bottom 5 defense in the entire league. So if I question your spacing, you're trading 2s for 3s, and you can't stop the other team, how are you going to win 36 games in a loaded Western Conference? So I'm on the under.
They're going to get punished on the inside. The big men are going to have a field day with this team.
Yes, and Sabonis might get traded. They might trade half the team. So they have their own draft pick. They could tank. I think the defense is going to be an absolute catastrophe. So I'm on the under 35.5 for me. You're on the over or under?
A slight under.
Okay, so you're going slight under. Moving on to the next team. This is the first of 3 contenders in this division. You have the Lakers, whose some books have the same win total as the Warriors, but most have the Warriors slightly ahead. So I have the Lakers as the projected 3rd place finishing team here in the Pacific Division. For the Lakers, main story, LeBron already injured. Hurt his lower back, going to be out for a month or 2. Father Time undefeated. Just took longer with LeBron, but he'll be out indefinitely. most likely a month. So you have Luka, of course, you have Austin Reeves, you have Vanderbilt, Hachimura, and Ayton, who they acquired. Ignore the preseason numbers. They were really bad. So we'll see how Ayton looks with the actual regular season games. You have Vincent. You have Marcus Smart's corpse. You have Connect. Yeah, they have Laravia, who I actually kind of like. You have Jackson Hayes. You got Bronny, who might play some minutes, but whatever. It's a waste of a roster spot. And you have Kleber, who missed all of the season, with the exception of the elimination game, who randomly played about 5 minutes. But LeBron's out for a month already. Luka, we know, tends to miss time every year. I like the under on this team. So far, I know it's preseason, but Ayton looks like a disaster. So we'll see if that works out or not. But I'm on the under. I think 46.5 is way too high when LeBron's already missing a month, and he might miss more over the course of the season. So I'm on the under for the Lakers. You?
Yeah, I'm slightly under as well. Some of the pieces I like, I just don't know if they mesh well together on this roster. A sneaky one, Nick Smith is a sneaky get.
Okay.
He played decent in Charlotte. Guard play, he can play multiple positions. He guards really, really well on the perimeter, and we know that's where the Lakers struggle, obviously, whenever Reeves and Luka are on the floor together. Ayton, I mean, you know, he is what he is. I mean, for $8 million, I mean, whatever. Like he could just he'll be fine. Like I don't think he won't be expected to do a ton.
They were desperate for any center possible, but Ayton historically, whether he's offensively streaky or not, the rebounding is always a question mark with his effort level, and he's a really bad defender.
Yeah,
so
but
that's a problem.
Join the club in the Lakers.
That's my point, though.
They got a ton of bad.
If I'm going to roast the Kings for not guarding anybody, are we sure the Lakers are going to guard anybody?
Yeah, well, I know for a fact they're not going to guard anybody.
It's a massive win total for a team that can't defend.
Yeah, I mean, just the expectations of the Laker, the brand name bias with the Lakers and Luka and LeBron. Honestly, I think LeBron being out this early is better for the Lakers because they'll get more fluidity with some guys. I'm hoping that we see more Connect and Laravia together because they can stretch the floor. Now, obviously, the defense is already bad. So, I mean, how much worse?
They got Marcus Smart, who, former Defensive Player of the Year and all, but if you haven't watched Marcus Smart play for the last couple of years, one, he's always injured. Two, he's nowhere near the guy he used to be.
Yeah, nowhere near. And I think that they can do some things lineup-wise that a lot of like, if you want to talk about depth, like they are literally, I mean, just looking at their roster, I mean, they're starting 5 without LeBron, and you add LeBron, that's 6. Connect Laravia, 8. Jackson Hayes back up is 9. Marcus Smart, Gabe Vincent. I mean, that's like 12 guys. I mean, Cleveland, like they got a lot of.
I think Smart and Vincent are going to be competing for basically the same spot. So I think whoever's better is going to get the minutes, but we'll see. They have options, though.
Yeah.
They do have options.
Yeah. So I like sometimes that could be a good thing, sometimes it could be a bad thing. So I'm interested to see how JJ kind of meshes this together. But I do think that Nick Smith should earn some minutes, to be honest. And I mean, RJ Davis as well. He's small, but firecracker. He can score some points. He defends at a decent level. I mean, just his size is just not what you want prototypically in a guard, but he can defend it and he can score. So I'm going under simply because I don't trust the defense. I don't trust the rim protection. I don't trust anybody outside of Luka and Austin Reeves. So it'll be under for me, but I think this roster will look completely different 4 months from now.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're looking at the projected lineup right now. Honestly, even with LeBron, who has not been anywhere near as good defensively, of course, as he was in his prime, it's a lot of mismatches. It's a barbecue chicken alert buffet for every opposing position, besides whoever Vanderbilt's guarding. But he's probably going to play, 20 minutes a game tops?
He might play 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's also injured all the time. So the defense is a mess. I got to go under with the Lakers, not to mention LeBron already being hurt. So give me the under there. It might be better for the Lakers anyway because they've been a play-in team before. LeBron gets hurt early. They'll ease him along, healthy for the postseason, and maybe LeBron and Luka together in a postseason series can win a round or two. But for a regular season team, an 82-game season, it's ugly as far as I'm concerned. I'm on the under. I think they are going to be a play-in team. So I got 42 with this team. That's where I'm at. Moving on to the that's I think they're a play-in team at like 42 wins. Moving on to the next team. You have the Warriors, who have one of the older rosters in the entire league. So the Warriors last season, traded for Jimmy Butler, and that gave their season a boost. Then, of course, Curry got hurt in the playoffs, and they got killed in Minnesota. For the win total, 47.5. Last year, they won 48 games. Then again, that was with Butler only there for about half the season, so keep that in mind. Now, for the actual depth chart for this team, very old starting five. They have Steph Curry. They have Buddy Hield. They have Jimmy Butler, Draymond, and they also acquired Al Horford, who's probably about to retire. But either way, he's on the Warriors for now. You have Gary Payton II, who gets injured every year. Podziemski, Moody. They finally re-signed Kuminga. $23 million. That was a massive, I'd say, delay for a re-signing nobody was happy about on both parties, but they brought him back. Post, who played some time last season. They still have Jackson Davis. They have Seth Curry. They have the Curry brothers now. I'll let you go first because there are a lot of questions with this team. They might be a regular season peak team where they randomly win 50 games and immediately flame out in the playoffs because they're exhausted. But I'll let you choose because Butler, we know, is going to miss some games. He always does. Steph, we know, is a monster, but he can miss some games too. What are your thoughts?
I like Golden State. I think you hit it on the head. I do think that they probably need another. I kind of want them to go for a younger, like more athletic big, kind of that can run the floor. And I mean, I know what they're trying to do with Horford. Horford's more of the playoff piece, so I get it. He's not going to play a big role in the regular season. They're going to want him to play when the game slow down. He can stretch the floor. Obviously, with Draymond on the floor, he allows Draymond to be, kind of the more roamer as he likes to do, like the safety of the defense and the quarterback of the offense. So I love the Al Horford signing. Full offseason with Jimmy. He's got his money. He's typically good whenever he's bought in and has his money. The front line is what's causing me to like not be like all in, like saying they can contend for a championship. Because if they had a younger big athlete, like for instance, if they go get Gafford, like I think that's a big signing for them. He's young, he's athletic, he can catch the lob, he can screen, because they have everything else. I mean, obviously with the shooting with Hield and Curry, both Currys actually. Podziemski's a firecracker, but in a lesser role, I think he'll be fine. I like this Warriors team, man. I think that they are probably about 9-10 deep. Obviously the coaching is there. I like the Warriors a lot, man. I really do. I think they can win. Go over this number. I'm a buyer in this team.
I'm going to ask you, though, if Butler or Curry miss, let's say, 15 games, do you think this team can stay afloat with one of their two stars out?
Yes, as long as they both aren't out at the same time, I do think they'll be fine.
Yeah, so this is where I'm a bit torn with Golden State. Because I'm expecting Butler to miss 15, 20 games minimum, because he always does. And Curry might miss some games too, we'll see. I actually like the Horford signing. Horford has stuff left in the tank. I'll give him props because I thought
he does. I love it.
Years ago. The switchability for this defense should be incredible.
Yep.
Now, Hield we know is going to be picked on. That's fine. They still have Gary Payton II. They have other options. I do wonder if eventually the old age is going to catch up to him or not. I think it does in the playoffs. So I think they'll actually go over this number. I don't feel great about it. I see them finishing ahead of the Lakers, but I have the Lakers at 42. So if the Warriors ended up going 46-36, that's realistic. I can see that happening. I'll give them 49 or 50. I'll go with the over. I'll agree with you. I really don't feel great about it. This will not be one of my locks at the end of the show or the best bets. I'm really torn, but I think I'll go over. I can see this being a regular season peak team, and then they eventually lose in the playoffs because the team gets hurt again. They all fall apart physically. That's kind of what I got for this team. Yeah. I'll go over with a first-round elimination. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I like over. Yeah, I love my favorite. Some of my favorites this year.
Okay. And moving on to the last team in the Pacific, you have the Clippers, over under 48.5. They won 50 last year. Main headline this offseason was involving Uncle Dennis, but for the sake of the actual roster, yeah, Kawhi's healthy. He might have gotten paid illegally, but he's healthy, so that counts for something. And as far as I know, he's not going to get suspended, so that should not be an issue. You have Harden again. They got Bradley Beal instead of Norman Powell. I'd rather have Powell, but you know what? Beal is still there. They're paying him $5 million, so they got a discount for that. Kawhi's making 50. They got John Collins, and they also have Zubac. For the bench, this team's loaded. They have Chris Paul coming off the bench. They have Chris Dunn, who's hurt a lot, but we know defensively he's very, very good. Bogdanovich, Batum. You got Brook Lopez as well. They have Cam Christie, Derek Jones, and yeah, once again, I kind of just named everybody on the roster. So this would be a great team if it was 2017, 2019, with Harden, Beal, Kawhi, Collins, and Zubac. I love their depth, though. I think they're one of the deepest teams in the entire league. Now, that comes with some, of course, asterisks because they might need that depth if Kawhi only plays 40 games. But I really think they're 10 deep. 11 deep if you include Derek Jones. So I'm going over. This team, depth-wise, can just overwhelm anybody, and they can survive some load management along the way with Kawhi. I'm on the over. I think this team is a 52-win team.
Agree, 100%. You pretty much hit on all my points. Got the versatility. You got the stretch big with Brook Lopez, who can also protect the rim. And then you got
I think Lopez might be washed to counter, but still a good bench backup center.
Yeah, I mean, but let's say like his role will be like he's not going to be asked to do what he did in Milwaukee. He's going to be asked to play, 15 to 20 minutes, and I think he'll be good in that role. But they got the versatility with the lineup. I mean, you can play, the more half-court eccentric if you want with either James Harden or Chris Paul. James Harden can still play in transition a little bit as well, but that they want to do with their offense in the half-court a little bit more. They got the shooting. You got Bogdanovich. You got Lopez. You got Batum. Harden, obviously. Beal, not really a big three-point shooter, but he can shoot it. Collins, physical, can rebound the ball well. I love this team, man. I really do. And I think the main part is what you hit on. Like they can sustain. I mean, they can withstand Kawhi going down for however many games. They got more guys that can step in. James Harden and Bradley Beal should be able to shoulder that load while he's out. So especially in the regular season. So similar to what I said with KD, like I think that they should want to load manage a bit more so he's fresher down the stretch. So love the over with the team. I mean, it's still the Clippers at the end of the day, but still, I've got a little bit more faith in them to win, north of 53, 54 games.
Yeah, as we know, I'm not a Bradley Beal fan. However, with him only getting paid $5 million, I can tolerate him because he's not sabotaging an entire franchise through a no-trade clause. So I do think $5 million Bradley Beal is actually kind of valuable because worst-case scenario, he can be a bench player, become a sixth man. We'll see what happens there. Chris Paul, we know, will be a very good stabilizer for this team, which I think any bench unit could use. Do you think that based on the current, I'd say, roster, is Chris Paul the best backup point guard in the league right now? I know he's past his prime and all, but I'm just asking. Do you think he's definitely an elite backup point guard?
I would have to think on it, to be honest.
You have the Ty Jeromes of the world. You have like the Tyus Jones of the world. You have a couple of other backup point guards in there, but
yeah, Ty Jerome was the first person that came to my mind.
Yeah,
yeah, he's up there, like top 3 or 4.
That's my point, though. I think this bench unit could be very good. So
yeah, and he's durable. Like Chris Paul played a lot of games last year.
He played every game last year, which is shocking. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But yeah, I like the Clippers over. I'm not picking them to win the title because why would I ever do that? But for the regular season, I think they can win 50 and change. I'll go for the over on the Clippers win total. Anyway, before we get into the last actual division for the Western Conference, a reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, Arctic Fantasy. Great place to play Fantasy Pick'em. You can win 500 times your entry. Pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats. Available for 10 different sports as well. New offer for new customers. Play just $5. Get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code NBA SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. They're off to a great start in college football and the NFL with picks and props. Giving away weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type for a model that you built. And you can win $1K. Also, a nice promo code discount we have with Rhythm. Use the code SGPN25. We download the Rhythm app for quarter first month. Now Rhythm, once again, promo code SGPN25. Welcome back, everyone, to the Again podcast. Finish going through the first 2 divisions in the West. Time to move on into the final division. Save the best for last, or at least 2 of the best teams in the entire league. Minnesota is somewhere probably in the top 5, top 10. But either way, a very good Northwest division. Starting off with the complete trash of the league, the Utah Jazz, as their win total is 18.5. Lowest win total in the entire league. They won 17 games last year. So once again, it might not be low-hanging fruit for an over. This team should be really, really bad. For the roster, Markkanen, for some reason, still here. Maybe not for long. Should have been traded 3 years ago. But either way, he's still on the roster. Collier's still at point guard. They got Ace Bailey, who looked great in preseason. But of course, he's still a rookie. George Niang is projected starter. What can possibly go wrong there? You got Kessler, who I'm sure might get random injury designations throughout the season, but he's also supposed to start. They have Clayton from Florida as the backup point guard. Sensabaugh, Cody Williams, Filipowski. I think Filipowski should start. I like him a lot, actually. And they got Nurkic, who we know is really just there, can't defend anybody. And the corpse of Kevin Love for some leadership on this team. Still have Keontae George, still have Kyle Anderson. They ended up getting. But I'll ask you for this team. I mean, they're trying to tank. It's documented. I don't really know what Kevin Love's purpose is here, besides we accepted him to want to maybe get an extra draft pick. I forgot what they got in that Love trade, but I'm assuming they absorbed salary in order to actually get a draft pick. This team's going to suck. So we agree they're tanking, right? Under?
I like over.
Really?
Over. Yeah. I mean, I think they're going to be a fun team. I mean, the tanking thing obviously is what it is, but that's, I mean, if we've learned anything, like tanking doesn't help your odds of getting the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 pick. We saw the Mavs, the Sixers, and I forgot who got the other pick, but like those were teams who were projected outside of the top 5. So I like this team a lot more than what I want to say, but they got some intriguing pieces, man. I mean, they got some guys that can shoot it. Sensabaugh can shoot it. Clayton can shoot it. Ace is what he is. I'm not the biggest Ace guy, but I get the intrigue. Laurie, when he's on the floor, is productive. You talked about Filipowski. I love Filipowski. Not a Cody Williams guy. Like Kyle Anderson.
I don't think anybody's a Cody Williams guy. I think he's just a bust at this point. He can't shoot.
Like Kyle Anderson, probably should be up a little bit higher on the depth chart. Keontae George has shown he's able to play play minutes in the league at a decent level. Good point guard, pass first. Oh, man, I think it can get to, 18? I think it can get to 19 wins, man. I think they might can get to 20. So I like the Jazz. I'm going to bet them over, and I will be betting them probably every game this year.
I know last year, to push back a little bit, last year they were god-awful on the road. They were a free win on the road. So at home, they can maybe make something a bit interesting. But on the road last season, once again, they won 17 games last year. They were a grand total of 7-34 on the road. They were only 10-31 at home. They weren't good at home either. Now, Markkanen's the main story because for some reason he's still on this roster. And he ended up missing a bunch of games because they sat him for the back half of the season. He played 47 games. I don't know why the Jazz won't just do the same thing. Markkanen played less than 50 games. John Collins was good last year. He only played 40. Sexton played 63. Keontae played 67. But they sat a bunch of guys for, you could argue, manipulated injury reports. And Kessler also played 58. I don't know why this team wouldn't just manipulate the injury reports again and tank. I'm on the under. I think this team will be really bad. I think they might be okay maybe for the first couple months. But once they start trading away pieces, which I think they should, this is going to be really ugly. There's a chance this team loses 15-plus games in a row. There's a chance that happens. In the Western Conference, this team might end up going maybe a full month without a win. That's a possibility. So this might turn into a live number of 20.5 if they have an okay November. But I think once they start load managing and once they do classic Danny Ainge injury report nonsense, they're going to lose a bunch of games in a row. I'm on the under. I see them winning. Same thing as last year. Give me 16 to 17 wins. So I understand what you're saying, but I do think Ainge will manipulate some injury reports. I think he'll trade away some pieces, and I think they'll intentionally finish back in the top 3 for the lottery. Once again, the actual draft lottery. Give me the under on their wins. Agree to disagree. I get your argument, but knowing Utah and Ainge's history, I think they trade away a couple people midseason. That's kind of where I'm at for this team. So I'm on the under, you're on the over, and let's move on to other teams. Moving on to the Trailblazers, who had an eventful offseason. They're at 34.5 wins. They ended up winning 36 last year in a bit of a surprise, as they ended up kind of fighting for a play-in spot. Didn't work out at the end, but you know what? They were better than we thought. Now, for the offseason, main move, they traded for Drew Holiday, traded away Simons. Why did they trade for Holiday? For defense and experience, even though they drastically are overpaying him. But either way, they have Holiday, they have Kamara, who I like a lot, Avdia, who's really, really good, Jeremy Grant, who forgets on the team for most of the season, and Klingon, who we know had a pretty okay start to his career. I think you'd want to see a bit more growth offensively, but still a good rim protector. They have Sharp off the bench. They have Tybal, who I'm assuming will play less than 10 games this season based on injury. Chris Murray. They have Young Hansen as the pretty intriguing Chinese center. We'll see how he looks. And they got Time Lord, who's going to miss a bunch of time as always, but as of right now, he's healthy. So I'll ask you for this team. Shout out to Caleb Love, by the way, who's randomly on the back end of this roster. Scoot's currently injured. Dame, they ended up getting back, but of course, he's out for the year with an Achilles issue. Would you like the over or the under for Portland, who actually went over this number last year?
Yeah, love the over. I think they're way better than last year from a roster perspective. I think Caleb Love will play some minutes as well because they don't have any shooting at all, like any shooting. I think Shaedon Sharp is probably their best shooter. I guess Chris Murray maybe, but it's not off a ton of volume. Caleb Love is a shot maker. I think he'll crack the rotation. Blake Wesley is also a guy that I'm intrigued by. This should be one of the top 5 defensive teams in the league. Two good rim protectors in Klingon and Time Lord. The Jamie Grant piece, I'm expecting them to move him, so I don't really buy a ton of stock in that. I love the Drew Holiday addition. Now, can he be, he was typically in those kind of roles where he were playing like second fiddle, and now he's kind of like one of the main guys who has to perform well and get other guys involved. So it's kind of like back when he was in Philly. But I trust Drew to get things done. I think Chauncey's done a hell of a job getting these guys bought in on a defensive end. Offense is where they struggle. It's kind of taking me off from buying them as a playoff contender. But if they can get some consistent offense, some shooting, I think that they could vie for a play-in. So they're gonna have to make some moves in the regular season to get some shooting. But they're gonna beat teams up on the glass. They're gonna defend like hell, and it's gonna be a nightmare when you have to play Portland. So I like the over. The only thing that's put me off loving it is the shooting.
Yeah, so it's not exactly the, I'd say, star power that Orlando had with Franz and with Paolo. I know they missed a bunch of time. The same type of roster build. We're not going to score a bunch of points, but we're going to try to kill you defensively. And every game, first to 100 wins. I'm going to be betting their unders for individual games all the time because this team can't score. But they are going to be such a pain in the ass to play against because they are going to grind the game out and they're going to make you work for every possession. Offensively, this team will be disgusting to watch. It is what it is. They're going to be a really bad offensive team. They have no three-point shooting at all. Because Drew Holiday, I think we can agree, can be streaky. Kamara, not a great outside shooter. Avdia, some volume, not a great percentage. Grant, kind of the same story. Some volume, not the best percentage. I think Sharp can be a good three-point shooter, but that's kind of it. They don't really have any shooters on this entire team. So I'll go over, but it's going to be tricky watching this team play when they're going to be really struggling to break 100 and change in most games. I'll go for the over, though, because at least they have an identity. At least they are kind of bought in on being a team that could fight for a play-in. With the lack of success they've had lately as a franchise for the last 10 years, basically, this team would be thrilled for a play-in spot. I don't think they're going to be tanking. I think they're a team that wants to show some growth. They want to prove that they've actually gotten better. I can see them pushing for a moral victory play-in spot. I'm going to go with the over on this team. But I will point out, though, they really need some three-point shooting. And that's why they remind me of Orlando last year.
Yeah, that's a good parallel by you. I love that parallel. The Western Conference Orlando Magic.
They don't have Paolo and they don't have Franz, which is the problem.
Yeah, well, the diet version.
Correct, but they can't shoot. So I'll go with the Trailblazers once again to go over their number. Maybe not by a lot, but I can see them finishing around 37-38. I'm moving on to the next team. Now we have some really good teams for this division. Minnesota, who of course ended up losing in the conference finals again to the eventual champions, so no real shame there. OKC ended up winning, I'd say, comfortably in that series in 5. But either way, Minnesota still had a good season. Mike Conley's back. They have Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Randall, and Gobert. They brought back Naz Reid. Their backup center is Beringer, so relative question marks there. But I think we'd agree Naz Reid is the backup center. They have Shannon, they have DiVincenzo, Joe Ingles, basically the exact same roster as last season. So I'll ask you for this team. Last year, they won exactly 49. They're at 49.5. Same roster, almost to a T as last year. I'm on the under. I think they care more with the playoffs and the regular season. So I'll go with the under on this team. What are your thoughts? Lonte, you there? Lonte, are you there?
Yeah, I like as well. I mean, I just
can hear the background.
think that they did enough.
Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me? You can't hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so I think that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm just like they're doing enough for me. They're getting older with the backcourt with Mike Conley. He's not a like. How many minutes is he going to per game for them to be competitive? I just don't think he's a floor for their offense. Going to be relying on Rob Dillingham a lot, which I do like Dillingham, but he's taking a role. He handles that is kind of going to dictate how far they go. But I think they're a playoff team. I think try to get to the playoffs and rely on their defense, half court, and they're better. They're always going to be because of Ant and the defense that they play. But season, I can see them taking a step. So I'm going to go under.
Yeah, I'm on the under. I think that this team in general was kind of a work in progress last regular season. They got a fix for the postseason. Randall was very good. He dominated Draymond in that Warriors series. And then he turned into Julius Randle again, and he fell apart. So I don't really like the overall construction of this team. I thought they got complacent for making the Western Conference Finals last year, and the West got better. So I'm on the under. They went under this last year. I don't see a reason to pick them to improve from last year with the same team. So give me the under for their wins. I think they could actually be a pretty decent under, like a 44, 43 win team. I think 50 wins is really not that realistic for this team. I'm on the under for Minnesota for this one. Moving on to the next one. You have arguably the 2 title favorites. First one, you have Denver at 53.5. They were arguably the biggest winner of the entire offseason. They got rid of Michael Porter Jr. as they ended up acquiring Cam Johnson from the Nets. They also ended up getting rid of Russell Westbrook, who's still a free agent. But either way, they have Jamal Murray, they have Brown, they have Cam Johnson, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic. Bruce Brown's back. They got Strawther, Tim Hardaway Jr., who can help with three-point shooting, Peyton Watson, and they got Valanciunas, who almost went back to his home country, decided to stay for one season. So Valanciunas is going to be the backup center. Still have Pickett, still have Tyson, still have Najee, still have Holmes. So I actually like their offseason. I think Hardaway Jr. for $3.6 million is a bargain for a three-point shooter. Bruce Brown I like a lot in general. He hasn't played much the last 2 seasons, but he chased the bag, came back home. He was great with this team. Big piece of them winning the title the first time around. Now he's back again, trying to help out. I love the over on this team. I think if this team actually ends up staying healthy, they got a shot at 60. I think this team's really, really good. And one of the questions mid-season was the coaching change because they fired Malone. They have Adelman. Adelman looked really good in the playoffs, and they were very injured. They brought the inevitable champions to 7 games with a dead roster. So I like Adelman a lot. I think he's a good coach, and I do think the Nuggets roster is very, very well built. And Joker is the best player in the league. So I like the over on Denver. I think they can get to 60. So I'm on the over. Thoughts on Denver?
Absolutely love Denver, man. I think that not only getting to 60, I think they got to and actually I will probably spoiler, they're going to be title winner. The only team that has more talent from 1 to 10 is Oklahoma City. That's the only team in the league. Now which player you rank 1A, 1B between Shea and Joker, whatever. But from a 1 to 10 basis, is like Denver is a top. They got shooting, they got size, versatility, they have point guard, like they have it all. They really have it all. Just have to put it together in the new scheme for Ken. Bruce is coming back, obviously. Tim Hardaway is shooter. I think DeRozan Holmes will play a big part in this. He's kind of the third center. Again, I think that he's really valuable. He tore his ACL this year, so he's had a full. He's kind of like that Chet Holmgren season where he got injured and couldn't play that first season, but he kind of trained, watched how these guys were pros. I think he'll have a good impact on Denver, especially on the defensive end. You know, Valanciunas is not the biggest defensive player. I mean, I love everything about Denver, man. It's hard for me to find something that I don't like about them. So, yeah, I got them penciled in as the 1 seed. They're going to pencil in as a champion.
I'm on the same page. I got them as my title winners. I think this team's very, very good. The fact is, the entire team got hurt, and they still took OKC to 7. This Denver team, especially in crunch time with Joker, they're so tough to beat. I couldn't stand Michael Porter Jr. for years on the show. I like Cam Johnson. He has some injury issues, historically speaking, but I think he's a smarter basketball player.
Now he's on your team.
Yeah, but my team's going to suck anyway, so it's fine. I'm already used to it, but I do think Denver is the team to beat for me. I understand OKC's win total's higher. I'll mention them in a second. But if you're asking me with this current roster construction, I would take them against OKC in a playoff series. I would, as controversial as that sounds. I think Joker is, I've said this many times before, I think he is the second best player in my entire life. I think LeBron's 1, Jordan's before my time. Name everybody else. I got Jokic at 2. I think he's a generational god at basketball. I think he'll carry this team to 60-plus wins, and I think they'll win the title. That's my thoughts on them, but I like the over for their wins. Think they'll end up winning 60 games or at least close to it. Moving on to the last team. OKC, defending champions of the entire league. Over under 62.5. They won 68 games last season. We know as the defending champions, no real need to do anything to the roster, but they do have a couple injuries, mostly J-Dub, who ended up getting hurt, and we'll see when he's supposed to come back, but he had a hand issue during the offseason. Now, for the actual roster, it's basically the exact same team. SGA, Dort, J-Dub, Holmgren, Hartenstein, Kaysen, Joe, Caruso, Wiggins, other Jalen Williams. They have Mitchell, Williams, that's Kenrich, and they got Dieng, who didn't play. So, same team. You got Topic, who ended up he tore his ACL, right? He's done?
No, he's having testicle surgery.
Okay, sorry. So I'm confusing injuries here. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. I thought he was going to be out for longer. So never mind.
That
Topic
was last year. So he missed last year with the ACL.
Yeah, so last year he was out. This year he's out for 2 months, but he's barely going to play anyway. So OKC, same team. Defending champions usually get a hangover. You rarely see teams win a bunch of games and a title, and then they immediately replicate that in the regular season. Saw that with Boston last year. I'm on the under. It's a massive win total for a team that I think we can agree can definitely thrive no matter how many wins they actually have in the regular season. They have bigger fish to fry. Give me the under. I got them around 55.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You have anything else
if I had
on
to play,
that?
I think this would be, but I think Oklahoma. Oh, yeah, I do think Oklahoma City is one of those teams that we won't see like a lack of focus. I think they'll always bring it. I mean, they're young, energetic. I just think that this is a huge number. This is a humongous number. And granted, they've had really good injury luck. I know Jalen Love played with some with the thumb thing, but like Chet was banged up a little bit as well. Like they've had some fortunate injury luck where they didn't have cluster injuries. So I think like 58 to 60 wins is probably where they end up at. But would I be surprised if they go over? No. So I'm not betting it. But I mean, it's hard not to love this OKC team, and they've already got a taste of success. They've been together for a while. They're still in their prime. I mean, probably just getting to their primes. You know how much money Jalen Williams is making this year?
Jalen Williams this season is making only $6.5 million.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Man, that his extension doesn't kick in, I think, until next year. But that's crazy.
Yep.
You got $6 million for J-Dub. But slightly under. don't love it because I don't like betting against OKC.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to bet this, but once again, you need 20 losses in a season out of 82 games, and you win. 20 losses and you win. Like, it's just an insanely high number in a good Western Conference. I'm on the under for OKC. I don't think they're chasing 60-plus wins. I don't think they really care, to be honest. I know that they were much better at home than on the road in the playoffs. You could argue it might matter to some degree, but I don't think they're going to be chasing it. I think load management might play a factor towards the end of the season. Why bother? Keep everyone healthy, try to run it back, and go into the postseason. So I don't think it matters that much to them. I'm on the under. So there you go. All right, Lonte, anything else you want to add for the Thunder?
No, that's it. I think we pretty much summed it up.
Cool. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the Western Conference win totals. Before we get into our best bets for the... Actually, no, we already did the ad reads here. Moving on to best bets. Lonte, I'll let you pick 3 win totals you like the most. It doesn't matter if they're over or under. What are your 3 best bets for the Western Conference win totals?
3 best bets. First one, Denver. We literally just talked about it. Over. Second, Golden State. Over. I'm really high on Golden State. And then in the third one, Houston under. Big time.
Okay. For mine, I'm tempted by Houston as well because that backcourt is really, really bad. But I'll start off with the Nuggets with you. I think the Nuggets are going to be an absolute juggernaut. I'm on the over there. I'm going to go Minnesota under at 49.5. They won 49 last year, same division as Denver and OKC. That's 8 games of pain, which is not going to be fun. Not to mention if Ant gets hurt again, they got problems. Randall can get hurt too. I think this team is going to finish somewhere in the mid-40s. I'll go for the under on Minnesota. And for my last pick, I thought about Houston, but a part of me also is considering the Clippers to go over. But I can't trust the Clippers, historically speaking. I'll join you on Houston. I think Houston ends up winning around 49-50. I don't trust KD to stay healthy. I don't trust the backcourt with Reed, who barely started any games last season. He averaged less than 5 points per game. I don't like their actual backcourt. I think signing Westbrook midseason would potentially make sense for this team. But I think it's definitely going to take some adjustment period with Durant. Not to mention they have so many centers. I wonder how many is too many. What's the point of having Capella and Steven Adams on the same team as backup centers? I think there's a logjam at that position. So I kind of question the actual, I'd say, roster, or I'd say rotations. So I'll go with Houston with you for my under. I think that 53.5 is too high. So there you go. We overlap on 2, but I'm going with Minnesota, and you are going with the Warriors to go over theirs. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the show. We're back once again later on in the week. Actually, looking at the schedule that I prepared. We're going to be back tomorrow, getting into the 6th Man of the Year and the Most Improved Player awards next episode. It's going to be Lonte and I again. So we're getting into actual player awards next time out. Till next